Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your hosts, Jason Beck and Rico Lamitte, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us. Oh, yeah. Good morning, everybody. It is Tuesday, May 2nd. Today is National Interpreter Appreciation Day, National Raspberry Popover Day. It sounds like a little nickname for Gretchen. It's National Garden Day, National Chocolate Custard Day, National Textiles Day, because where else would we be without textiles? And it's also National Specially Abled Pets Day. That's for all the disabled pets out there. It's also National Montana Day, National Skilled Trades Day, because without skilled trade workers, no one would have jobs. And it's also National Bike to School Day, because it's probably not safe to put your kids on a school bus anymore. Also, it's also World Press Freedom Day, because the world needs a free press, and National Paranormal Day, because ghosts really do exist, because we're here live at Yokayo Ranch in Yokayo, California, broadcasting from the Emerald Cup Judges Table. Thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high noon on the East Coast. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. Use that fancy little QR code right there in the top-hand corner of your screen to find out where we live on the internet. And we're live every Monday through Friday on YouTube and audio only on Clubhouse. And if you are joining us in Clubhouse, you can also participate in the show by raising your hand if you have a brief comment on the story most recently presented. But without further ado, we're going to kick it off with the dope dad himself. That's right. It's Rico Lamitte. When he is not taking care of babies or playing Elsa songs or also possibly singing Baby Shark, you can find him here at High at 9 News in the morning, because that's when you know someone else is taking care of little baby Zozo. That is the dope dad himself, Rico Lamitte.
And the crowd goes wild.
Yes, indeed. And I'd like to start my story off with a trigger warning to everybody out there, because I will be talking about Donald J. Trump.
No.
What's the trigger warning for?
Anybody who gets triggered by just hearing the word Donald Trump.
Oh, come on.
So love him or hate him, former President Donald Trump has a tendency to say things that he means. It doesn't necessarily mean he believes what he's saying. He just means it. And he means to always say things that are popular or that he believes will keep him popular. While many of these things that he says are lies, destructive, riot-inducing, racist dog whistles, sexist, xenophobic, homophobic, narcissistic, idiotic. Did I miss any adjectives there? Yeah. Here's the thing. Many of those things he means because he thinks they're popular things to say. Populism and popularity are the unfortunate fuels that drive today's America. 45 is Twitter personified. It doesn't matter if what he said is true. It probably got half of us mad, the other half amused, and whoever is left analyzing it, trying to figure out where his heart really lies on that particular issue. And by the time, however, many journalists feel that they've pinned down what he really meant by whatever word salad of the day he projectile vomited 3 a.m. on one of his golden toilets at Mar-a-Lago, I'm sure Jason Beck's taking a selfie on, he's on to the next topic. And whatever's trending in popularity is what really catches his attention. Trump cares about what people around him are telling him matters at the moment. And at this moment, it happens to be weed. So last week, within 10 seconds of saying marijuana use does significant damage, Donald Trump acknowledged legalizing cannabis is a pretty popular thing among voters. The soon-to-be three-time indicted former politician currently running for 2024 is top spot again, presumably as his best shot at escaping inevitable justice, sat with Greg Kelly of The Daily Show and SNL's Weekly Updates main competitor network, Newsmax, last week. And he was asked what he thought the legalization movement's doing to the country's competitiveness and psyche. This was his answer. I mean, you see the same studies. It's not helping people. I mean, studies are saying that it does damage. It does significant damage. And yet, from a voting standpoint, it's a pretty popular thing. Canada has gone all that way with legalization, and other countries have gone all that way. Some countries won't do it. But I'm going to take a look at some final results. The indications are that is not exactly helpful. Translation: reefer madness should be law, if you ask me, but polls are trending favorably towards this horrible, evil poison that I know is killing people by the millions daily and probably making more white women fall in love with those doobie smoking, jazz playing Black and Mexican men quicker than seasoned food. He said that there was a link between the use of genetically engineered marijuana and mass shootings during an NRA rally speech last month. At recent rallies, he's promised to wage war on the cartels and impose the death penalty on drug dealers responsible for death, carnage, and crime if he's elected again. He's praised the draconian drug policies on numerous occasions held by dictator mentors Rodrigo Duterte and Vladimir Putin. But per the article, while President Trump never pushed a full-scale crackdown of state legal cannabis programs and voiced tentative support for modest reform legislation. He did, however, hire prohibitionist Jeff Sessions to run the DOJ and rescind Obama-era guidance on cannabis persecutions and implement policies making immigrants ineligible for a citizenship if they consume marijuana or work in the cannabis industry. But one might argue Obama thing was just because he wanted to erase everything that Obama did. And Obama was more popular than him and still is, and he's Black. The immigration thing, probably because he's xenophobic and he had Nazi youth time traveler Stephen Miller in his cabinet. But during the failed 2020 re-election campaign, he attacked Joe Biden over his record as an architect of punitive drug laws during his decades in Senate. The contradictions go on and on and on and on and on. But I just want to know this. With cannabis continuing to trend upward in popularity and everyone running our country currently believing, well, not everyone, most of them believing the same reefer madness bullshit that got us where we are. I know democracy is a process, Gretchen, blah, 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 blah. But the weed issue and legalizing it is an uncontested layup for anyone that wants to grab that board, playing on the court of public opinion, the most ethical court left in America. There just might be enough people who hate Joe Biden and Trump alike, but love weed enough to vote for whoever's going to support legalization. Are the Democrats really going to let this person, trying to be nice here, person snatch 2024 by taking a pro-cannabis stance thanks to its popularity? You're down 1 point, no timeouts left, 3 seconds on the clock, and the ball's in your hands. Let's go, Brandon. I'm Rico Lamitte, dopest dad on the street. I want to hear y'all on this one. Is Trump going to take on the popularity of cannabis and take over the conversation and get his self back?
I have a question. Do we really think that by electing Trump, if he does jump on this bandwagon, that somehow he's going to just say what he's going to do, like that he's going to actually do what he says he's going to do? Like
He's acted on a lot of this stuff.
Not a chance.
Are we really saying that, like, we believe him that, he's going to somehow now legalize cannabis? Like, even if he said he was going to do it on the election trail, is he actually going to do it?
100%, because Trump has made more campaign promises that have actually came to fruition and executed on them than any other political candidate in American history.
Oh, okay, that's just bullshit.
Jason, shake your head around, man. It's all mixed up in there.
Hey, you know, I'm excited by this news. This I see this as a pivot by the president, and it can give him a quick, because he has plenty of time until November of next year to even evolve even more on the issue. And the fact that he's evolved this little bit.
It's all about popularity with Donald Trump. That's all he cares about.
That's all we need,
no
Rico
soul.
Lamitte. I don't care if he has a soul or not. Do you want legalization to happen?
That's right.
This is what I'm saying. The Democrats just let this motherfucker.
Okay, let's keep waiting for the morally high ground, soapbox standing, jag off Democrats to do this, or we can let a guy who just wants to be popular pass it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, are these Democrats just gonna let this dude just get in, snatch the whole conversation just because it's popular? Are you going to?
Where you been?
Do we care about that? Do we care about who's running?
Have you been asleep for the past 40 years? That's how politics works.
That's Joe Biden.
For the Cory Gardner grandstanding on regards with killing safe banking, when that was the only legislation that was slated to pass, and yet the Democrats controlled all houses and got nothing done for cannabis. Yep, exactly right.
That sounded like a Gretchen side to me.
Exactly. You can't believe a word Trump says. I mean, he's doing it for popularity. As soon as he,
what's wrong?
I don't
with
think he has
Todd?
a chance.
This is what I'm saying. Well,
the problem is he's not going to fulfill.
Who cares his reason behind doing it? That's what I don't understand.
That's
just
but
because I want to be popular. Joe Biden doesn't legalize
it,
because he doesn't know anything. But that's
what I'm saying is he's just saying shit just so he can attract the marijuana.
Well, and
voter.
Joe Biden just said shit to get elected too, and we all bought it.
Yeah, like we are at that point where you can do like numbers versus numbers, and they're the same, man. And Donald Trump is the only one saying, "Oh, well, the numbers are looking good on it, so yeah, I'm going to legalize it." And he just might do that shit.
Yeah, but he'll change his mind as soon as he talks to somebody new who says, no, you shouldn't do that.
As soon as he talks to Putin, as soon as he talks to his buddy Putin, he's going to change his mind.
And Kim Jong-un, yeah.
We shall see. I actually had a meeting in the Trump White House back in, I think it was 2018. And they were very amenable to hearing about cannabis. They didn't understand a damn word of it. And it was very Cannabis 101. But no one was throwing us out the door, and they were very interested in the business side of things. So Trump, with his background, I think is a pragmatist, and if he can bring in money and votes, that's what he loves to do. I think Trump will get on board.
I like to bring attention to the black vote too, man. When the Democrats would not listen to Ice Cube, Donald Trump brought him in there, and if Donald Trump would have won, like Ice Cube could have secured about $50 billion for the black community from Donald Trump. Like,
we need to get Kanye on board and get Kanye to have lunch with him. That's what we need. Kanye needs to step in there with, his good old ex-wife and just get this shit done.
But nobody, but
Kanye is your savior.
The black community anymore. We've divorced him.
No, Trump loves Kanye.
Exactly, my point.
Hey.
I think we're missing an important point that unless it makes Trump money, he's not going to do it for himself, right? So if he can find a way to enrich himself and his family, if he's lucky enough to get reelected, then it probably will happen. But unless I can see an avenue for that, I think he's going to end up being like every other politician who says what they want to say to get elected, and then really nothing.
I agree.
He's going to be selling. He's going to be selling those Tyson 2.0 penis pills with Ric Flair down at Mar-a-Lago.
Hold on, I have two quick stories for you in regards to this. Okay, Rico, I also have had numerous meetings with the Trump White House in regards where they were very friendly and open to talking with cannabis, even had conversations with his DOJ in regarding all of this. And so I would say that he was the most progressive president that I've had the opportunity to deal with in regards with cannabis reforms, even though he did not act on those reforms, because now he's getting queued up for when he's 47 to enact those things. And one quick story, you're going to love this one, Rico. I'm sitting at Mar-a-Lago. Okay. And
I already hate it.
the table with me. We're about 12 of us, all in
Embarrassing.
sitting down, and I'm talking with these guys from Puerto Rico about purchasing their cannabis business from them in Puerto Rico. And all of a sudden, the president comes downstairs and he says, "Look at that table right there. That is a serious table right there. Oh my goodness, look at that table." He says, "There is a big deal going on at that table. And let me tell you something, I want in." And you know what I did? I looked at him, I said, "Mr. President, you're in."
I think what also is going to matter for Trump coming up to pass legalization is let's do some actual politics and strategy here.
Yeah.
He wants to win some states like, I don't know, Florida, Ohio, New York, California, where he needs the help bringing in the vote. These are places that want cannabis. Why wouldn't he get on board? Any political strategist would tell him to get on board with this.
If he talks about this with cannabis, he's going to get all that Kim Rivers money, all of them.
Yeah.
They're the only ones
Meatball
put
Ron is
money
already
in.
against cannabis, and he's already came out against it. So
Right.
it's an easy victory against Ron
You mean
DeSantis.
Meatball Ron?
That's what I said. What I said?
Yeah.
I thought I said Meatball Ron. Yeah. He's against cannabis, and Donald Trump is ready to put him in the grave right now. And all he has to do is continue that stance against Biden, too.
Trump made DeSantis, and he can, you know what I'm saying, do whatever he wants to do with him. But we got to go to a commercial. We're going to be right back.
Damn Donald Trump.
Oh, yeah. You know what time it is? That's right. It's Tuesday over here at Green Street, and we got Smoky Vanilla with us in the building. So that's right. It is time to stretch and smoke. We just got done smoking. Now we're going to stretch it out, and then we're going to smoke again.
Let's go. I'm Smoky Vanilla with my background in kinesiology and bodywork massage and assisted stretching. You got to come check it out, baby. Check me out on IG at Smoky Vanilla 1 Stretch and Smoke, Twitter Smoky Vanilla, Social Club Stretch and Smoke. We're also on Sports Recovery by Dan and Jam.
If you want to feel as good as I look, then make sure that you get a stretch and smoke in with Smoky Vanilla. Yeet!
Not if you want to, as good as I look. I love it.
Feel it. Look, you know what?
Y'all know what time it is. High at Nine's head honcho is coming up next, live from Yokayo Ranch, where he is smoking on the best weed in the state, in the best weed in the world for the Emerald Cup. The industry's longest continuously operating retailer and the highest Republican in the game, West Hollywood's president of cannabis tourism, and strong believer and supporter of the man we just talked about, Jason Beck.
Oh, yeah. Good morning, everybody. Hope you all are having a great week. We are up here. We really want to thank the Emerald Cup for hosting us and allowing us to do this. And we also want to send a huge thank you to Yokayo Ranch for providing the space for us to be able to do this, the internet and all that stuff, because we are totally off the grid. If you look around us, it's nothing but mountains and trees around us, surrounding this here with a fantastic property. We're going to have a big old bonfire and all the other Emerald Cup judges up here tonight for one big old shindig. And then we're going to move it all to Hall of Flowers tomorrow. But today, my story, and I think this tale ends off of Gretchen's story yesterday, because a marijuana mogul's half-baked plan for a Portland property leaves squatters turned it into neighborhood nightmare. That's right. One of Oregon's biggest marijuana chains bought a Portland home in 2020, planning to turn it into a dispensary. But the pot shop never materialized. Instead, neighbors say the squatters moved into the property, which became a hotbed for dangerous crime like drive-by shootings, and the new owners, who bankrolled several prominent Democrat politicians, ignored their concerns. Just having the property owners saying essentially, if you don't like it, move, as if I am the problem because I'm annoying him with things that could actually end my life, Jacob Adams said, who lives next door to the property, told Keon 6 News. LaMotta is Oregon's second biggest cannabis dispensary chain, with 22 locations scattered across the state. Its owners, Aaron Mitchell and Rosa Cazares, were referred to as, in quotes, the power couple of Oregon cannabis. In a recent Willamette Weekly investigation, they also frequent sponsors of Democratic candidates throwing fundraisers at a rented mansion for now Governor Tina Kotek, Secretary of State Shima Fagan, and more, Willamette Week reported. Since Lamotta bought the property in Southeast Portland, emergency crews have responded to the house 36 times for fires, theft reports, disturbances, shots fired, and city issued numerous code violations on the house. In a quote, "When we almost lost our house and the fence burned, I no longer was going to take this silently," Beth Adams, Jacob Adams' wife, said. In a quote, "It is completely understandable that neighbors are frustrated. We want them to know that we are working as quickly as possible to demolish this structure and redevelop the property." The statement shared with Keon 6 reads in part, "We are sorry that the process has taken so long. The process has taken so long. The squatter property is one of many problems facing Lamotta, and the embattled company has been hit with dozens of lawsuits alleging nearly $2 million in unpaid bills. And since 2018, the state of Oregon has issued $1.6 million in tax liens against Mitchell, Cortez's, and Lamotta, according to Willamette Week. The IRS placed a further $1.4 million in liens on the couple for failure to pay personal income and employment taxes. And just last week, it was revealed that Fagan had been moonlighting as a paid consultant for an affiliate of Lamotta since February, while her office wrote an audit supporting more relaxed regulation of the marijuana industry. Republican legislative leaders called for a resignation, and Kotek requested 2 investigations, one into the ethics of Fagan's work arrangement and a second into the audit. And Fagan announced Monday morning that she had terminated the consulting contract and apologized to Oregonians in a statement reading in part, "I exercised poor judgment by contracting with a company that is owned by my significant political donors and is regulated by an agency that was under audit by my audits division," she writes. Well, I mean, if this just doesn't reek of corruption, I don't know what does. And this is Jason Beck reporting live from Yokayo Ranch during the Emerald Cup Judges competition for High at 9 News. What do y'all think about that?
That was the quickest about face I've ever seen.
Right? Didn't we, Gretchen?
Just yesterday.
And she's already pivoting?
Well, she's gotta.
She got strong ankles.
She must watch High at 9 News.
This is a PR nightmare. So
It is a nightmare.
Yeah.
Get her out.
Yes.
So she went and hired Olivia Pope real quick to get her out of to give her
Rudy
script.
Giuliani on her team. Make some erroneous phone calls. How do you get a person like this out? Do you vote them out? Do you just can them? Like what's the process?
It depends on if it's an elected official, an elected position, or if it's an appointed
A governor
position.
could ask them to step down.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, but she's not because she was hosting fundraisers for her. So why would the governor ask her to step down when she's one of her biggest donors?
Oh my God.
It's a bad look. I know
it's
being in the
all
Trump
messed
camp,
up.
you don't understand what a bad look is. However,
most
A really good
bad
point.
look to keep her in the
Shots
administration.
fired. Yes, Gretchen.
the 24-hour news cycle will forget about this woman next week, right? So this is just a bad look for Oregon cannabis all around with her at the helm, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. It's a bad look all the way around. I just was impressed with how fast the pivot was. Like I'm impressed in the pivot skills. Okay, I'm very impressed. But
she's shuffling.
Yes. We missed an ad? Oh no, we didn't.
Oh no!
My bad.
Don't say it's not so.
You on that smoky vanilla again?
Yes.
Why don't you go to commercial?
That's right. We have the feisty redheaded conservative that loves to tell pot-loving libs all about themselves. She's the founder of Panoptic Strategies and our very own little Washington insider, Gretchen Gailey.
Thank you. Thank you, little hands, Jason. All right, my story today is coming from NBC News, from Meet the Press. And Adam, feel free to run the video whenever you feel like it. I'm not actually, well, this looks great. Not actually going to read a story because I know you guys on the in our troll community hate it when we actually read the stories. So I'm just going to talk about it. New marijuana legislation would allow cannabis businesses access to banking services. Basically, NBC News said, oh, wait a minute. This guy from Montana is sponsoring a piece of legislation. Let's go to Montana to get the latest information on everything that's happening in the cannabis space. So that's what they did. NBC News went to Montana, interviewed some very nice folks up there about the challenges of safe banking and cannabis. And it's very sweet. It's very nice cannabis, 101 type of story. But the reason that I'm discussing it is because I'm impressed that Meet the Press took the time and did a segment to actually care about cannabis. And this should make you happy. Even Rico Lamitte, who is just Debbie Downer left and right, national media is caring about this issue. It is making it to the Sunday morning television sets of your grandma, who's still the only one who watches Meet the Press, to understand what is going on with cannabis. This is a good thing for the industry, no matter how much it's it's painful if you're in the industry to watch. But Grizzly Pine, whoever they are, very nice, very knowledgeable, good little sound bites about why we need safe banking. And Steve Daines, the senator from Montana, he is in the story as well, talking about the virtues of safe banking. This is a good thing. This is why we need more of this. We need more of the earned media getting on board with cannabis so guys like Donald Trump can wake up and be like, oh, maybe people care about pot. Maybe I should actually try and pass it. This is Gretchen for High at 9 News.
Sleepy-eyed Chuck Todd,
It
huh?
was smart on their behalf to go to Lily White, Montana, and interview these lovely people on the issues that they're facing with banking, because they're small business, so it affects them too. Safe banking is something that would appeal to them as well. But I think it was important to show, people that, are not, people of color in this situation for mainstream media. I think that it was important to show this side of the industry. That's my opinion.
I'm just really excited that Meet the Press is actually covering something newsworthy instead of their regular shenanigans that they love to just indoctrinate the general public with.
Well,
it is the longest running show on television
ever. Yes,
that's
in
the key
news
point.
history.
It's the general public that they appeal to.
It must really suck because it's the longest running show in TV history, right? So, yeah, everybody hates it. They hate it.
The legacy market of news.
Right.
You look at their ratings, Todd. It's probably their highest rated show they've had in 10 years.
Well, I don't know about that.
It's
I mean, the
possible.
story is only a few minutes.
I wonder why they chose Michigan or Montana.
They chose Montana because Daines is a sponsor of safe banking. That's why they did it.
Gotcha.
See, they in their cute little journalistic heads, they're like, "Oh, we're gonna go talk to the sponsors." Home district who has
but
cannabis.
Why not go to a seasoned marijuana state?
Because they don't know anything about cannabis. Bless their hearts.
So long suffering of
no
banking.
Pushed along, Todd. Okay, because it needs help getting pushed along because you have grandstanders like Cory Gardner that love to kill the bill at the last minute when he wants to propagate on it.
Either way, I don't think Meet the Press was informed enough to go find, the true cannabis industry. But I'm glad that they found somebody in the industry to talk to and actually put it out there.
I'm sure Chuck Todd knows where to find that piff.
No, I'm glad that they decided to tell this story. And it's important part of where our industry is right now. Safe banking not passing is going to harm a lot of our small businesses, the ones that I want to see survive. I talk about this all the time. It is important.
Wow.
It is important that 5 years from now, the only place that we can buy regulated weed is not from an MSO. It has to still come from the farmer. And I want to be able to reserve those businesses allow those businesses to actually come into the legal market because they're suffering right now, and they don't have much legroom. They don't have another year or 2 years to wait. They just don't.
Yes.
And I would say the other good point of this story is it shows, I think, the juice that safe banking has behind it. I think if this was going nowhere, I don't think Meet the Press would have cared about it. I think this is a good indication of Saint Germain that safe banking is going to pass. I don't care what y'all say; it's going to happen this year.
Right.
Yeah.
This is a good indicator.
Go
Yeah.
for it, Joe. It's
No,
all
I
you.
have to agree. I think it's a natural evolution of the industry itself, because what you have is other investors from the corporate sector who are trying to make money off cannabis and realizing that you need the safe banking to operate in a way that is productive. And so now they're getting involved. You're going to see more stories like this across the board, I think, in all the states that are legalized.
Oh yeah.
Use the press to your
yeah.
advantage, Jason. Control the narrative.
I'm all about controlling the narrative. You know what I mean? It's all about
All
that.
right, well, let's control the ads and let's get back on time. Thanks again to Gretchen Gailey.
Hi, Gretchen.
Yeah. Run the ad, Adam.
Such a
Keeping up to date on the evolving policies of relevant state, local, and federal governments is key to success. When the future of your business is at stake, you need representation as dedicated as you are. With a maze of laws and regulations surrounding cannabis, hemp, and psychedelics, knowing where to begin can be a challenge. Good thing the law offices of Omar Figueroa features a skilled, highly focused team ready to guide you through it all. They're accepting new clients in California and New York. So make sure you check them out at info@omarfigueroa.com.
Oh, yes, that good halftime point. Make sure you're subscribed to High at 9 News. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Hit that like button. And also, too, make sure you head over to our website, www.highat9news.com. You can type it out. You can just use it as a number. Either way, they'll both take you to the same place. Make sure you sign up for that newsletter. And remember, when you do sign up for that newsletter, you are going to get an email to officially subscribe back in your inbox. And oftentimes, it may end up in your junk or spam. So make sure that you check out and look for that. On top of that, we also have merchandise available on our website. So make sure you go check it out. And we also want to thank Yokayo Ranch here in Yokayo, California, for hosting us here during High at 9 News. Oh yeah, we got an angry dog in the building. It's probably mad because it didn't get any treats because her mom just keeps on teasing her with snacks. That's right. Yes, she does. That's right. But oh yes, and on top of that, make sure you're participating with the super chats, okay? Because if you want your comments to us to really pay attention to them in the chat, make sure you super chat and we will answer back. And without that, we're going to go back to another ad. Control Tower from Highly Educated has perfected the dab. Utilizing the concept of thin film evaporation, you can waste none of it and taste all of it. The micro texture of the SE pillar increases nucleation at elevated temperatures. And with the tower propelling at 2,600 RPMs, it's certainly the most efficient dab experience to date. The Control Tower from Highly Educated.
She is a patient plant medicine advocate, founder of Purple Plant Magic. And on Wednesday mornings, you can catch her as the Encyclopedia on Power 88 Las Vegas. Coming up next, y'all know who it is, M4MM's National Community Program Director, Nicole Buffong.
Thank you so much, Rico. I appreciate the introduction. So I recently ran across this story scrolling through Instagram, and I shout out to the New York Cannabis Times that kind of lets me know what's happening in the city, on the streets. So shout out to her, and hopefully I'll see her next week when I'm in New York for CWCB Expo. But what is happening right now, this is out of High Times, battle erupts over Harlem dispensary across the street from Apollo Theater. If you've never been to New York or you've never heard of Apollo Theater, I'm not sure what rock you're living under, but it does have historic presence in Harlem for being the only place where people of color could perform during segregation. And so it has been a staple in the community of Harlem for music and art and also advocacy. So it's interesting that they've taken this position, but it is also interesting how the city did it. So a battle is underway to fight a new dispensary from opening in Harlem at a site known for its place in music history. CBS reports that plans are unfolding to open a dispensary in a building on 125th Street across from the Apollo. The 125th Street Business Improvement District filed a lawsuit with the New York Supreme Court. We've taken this action to really create transparency and to create a channel of communication to understand why this location. According to the BID, state regulators colluded in secret in order to avoid pushback from the Harlem community, especially considering the importance of the location. We just want to know why the decision was taken without really consulting us, said the BID. So the lawsuit also accuses the state of violating its own regulation, barring dispensaries from opening within 500 feet of a school. In this case, they say the dispensary is too close to Toro College, a high school age school in the area. The lawsuit lists a total of 47 businesses that serve or cater to minors in that area. For a solution, the BID recommends that the dispensary opens inside of the Adam Clayton Powell State Office Building, which is owned by the state, so patrons can have a secure and safe environment. So I thought that this story was interesting. It goes on to talk about the relevance of the Harlem, of the Apollo Theater in Harlem. But one of the interesting things that it says at the end of the article here, while the location is a few doors down from the Lazarus Children's Clothing Store, there is also a tattoo parlor next door, and no one's complaining about that. The New York Cannabis Control Board approved 99 new licenses on April 3rd, increasing the total provisional retail dispensary licenses for adult use retail dispensaries to 165. The Cannabis Control Board wrote in a press release that the licenses included 4 for Western New York and 1 for Central New York, 5 for Mid-Hudson, and 3 for Brooklyn, marking the first provisional licenses to be issued in these regions, following last week's modification of a court injunction that had prevented the board from issuing them. So the comments from people that live in the neighborhood varied. They are concerned of why it was done in secret. That doesn't make sense to them. But there were also comments of people supporting a dispensary coming to that neighborhood because it would provide more jobs and a safe place to purchase cannabis. So I thought that this story was interesting. The way that the city decided to do it and try to get this license approved in secret without consulting the neighborhood, especially considering all of the historic value that neighborhood brings to the city. I'd love to hear what my correspondents think about this story. This is Nicole Buffong reporting for High at 9 News.
This is kind of similar to Raekwon's thing down in New Jersey, huh?
Yeah.
So bizarre. Why is it such a controversy?
All these NIMBYs in New York that, like, you have all this rampant drug use, all this rampant crime going on in New York, and you're going to complain about a licensed legal dispensary that's selling cannabis.
Yeah, and I bet you right next to that licensed legal dispensary is a bodega that has product that was shipped from California being sold there too. So I would just every single corner store you could buy a bottle of water has something you could buy to smoke.
Yeah, that's right.
The conservative black community is against it, Nicole?
So this board that runs the Apollo Theater would be like the NAACP of that area, right? With the same type of old school mindset. And so you have that concept of this is going to harm the neighborhood more than it helps. And like he said, there is a lot of public drug use happening, not just cannabis being smoked in the streets, but there are a lot of like zombie-like people walking down the streets of New York City. My sister lives there, and she said it has just changed since they decided to allow these rehab locations or safe use locations popping up throughout neighborhoods.
I'm just wondering, I mean, shoot, how many of the entertainers and musicians who performed at the Apollo are most likely great fans of cannabis? If you look at the list of folks who've been there and how much cannabis has helped their careers with their creativity and
I
making them
smoke
wonderful
weed with
performers.
Akon at the Apollo Theater.
Well, the problem is, Gretchen, that
Yes,
a
ma'am.
lot of these old Black conservatives are still following the Reefer Madness protocol,
I hear you.
and the what they did with Reefer Madness within the Black and brown communities was they ingrained it in their churches. They knew how valuable and important their churches were to their communities. And so that was part of the programming, is making sure that Christians are against cannabis, and making sure their pastors was ingraining that into them. And so that becomes a part of the culture, and it's really hard to separate the two.
The homeowners association you don't want to be a part of. They just want to have control. You know what I mean? I think they might have just wanted a seat at the table. Now that they didn't get it, they're going to make it a bigger deal than it has to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and then my other question would be about this organization that's suing is it like an actual historic district where they can actually make a complaint and say, no, we don't want this across from the Apollo? Do we know that, or is it just a community?
Well, I don't know that. But what it is, it's a board that runs the actual Apollo Theater.
Sounds
So
like a boring board.
Yeah,
What are they
it's not
afraid
an
of, though?
individual that runs it.
It's a BORED, Jason.
I don't know if it's like an actual historical landmark. I don't think so. I don't think I've heard that before.
Yeah, what is it they're afraid of? People are going to buy weed next to the Apollo Theater? Big deal.
We're already buying weed in the Apollo
That's what
Theater.
I'm saying.
Outside.
There's weed being sold all up and down 125th Street. As soon as you come out of the subway station, you walk up, before you could walk up the stairs, somebody is trying to sell you some fire. I got that fire.
Right, but what is their argument? What are they saying their argument is? We don't want it here because...
But their argument is the fact that the city did it in secret, which I agree with. Like, why wouldn't you consult that neighborhood before you decided to put a dispensary there? Like, and if you were smart...
Do they need to?
Well,
yeah.
Right. There's not a legal one in Harlem.
I mean,
right
how many dispensaries move in and have to say, all right, this is the business that I'm opening here? I don't have to ask my neighbors, except for certain rules when it comes to cannabis. I don't understand. If you read their mission on their page, their mission is to expand sustainable economic activity in the area, including the creation or expansion of businesses and the development of jobs for community residents.
Okay, if they were smart, they would have put a social equity license holder in that neighborhood. Put somebody who looks just like, who is from the neighborhood.
Who is it? Do you know? I'm sorry. Did the story say who it is?
Well,
the license holder.
They didn't say who it was.
This is exactly why they're against this, okay? Because they have it figured out, actually. I'm pretty impressed with the Apollo Theater for this, because they have it figured out. They know that there is zero money, so there's going to be zero economic benefit to legal cannabis in New York because of the regulatory framework that's in place, and so that's why they're protesting it.
Or maybe somebody on the board is actually got a bodega open and they don't want no competition.
Oh, that's another good one. Oh, yeah.
There's that.
It says that the place they want to open it is owned by the state. So I don't think this group really has much room to. I don't think they're going to get away with this, frankly. They can sue all they want.
What are you going to say, Joe?
No, I think it comes back to what I said. I just think they were left out. People like that want to be in control. And since they didn't get to make the decision, they're going to make a big stink about it, because there is literally all sorts of product in every single bodega and little corner store on that street. So they're mad because they weren't involved. That's all.
Right.
Adam, I just sent you.
I'll just take my ball and go home.
Exactly.
Adam, I just sent you a link.
Adam is on it. Adam is on it.
For everyone to see. This is the proposed location. See that lovely, gorgeous gray building there? Mm-hmm. What? I don't understand why these people wouldn't want someone to develop this into a nice legal business.
They still
they're selling cannabis.
COVID testing.
COVID testing and cannabis all in one.
I mean, it's just crazy. Nuts.
Cabs don't have like little bags of weed in the back of the cars. You know, when you get in, they usually have the maps. They should just have like a, little eighths right there.
Just ask them. They'll tell you one.
Just
ask.
You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, it's under the seat.
These are 5, these are 10, these are 20.
I mean, Nicole, you are right that whoever was the license holder going for this spot should have dealt with this group beforehand, just for politicalness, to grease the wheels and make sure everyone's happy. That's what you do in communities.
That's
But
right. You don't do it in secret and
This
then
is-
try to.
I don't think anyone's doing stuff in secret. I think they're just doing business.
Yeah,
We're making it sound like
No.
this. They got they signed the lease at midnight and under the cloak of darkness and tried to move in the next day.
it could
Kind
happen.
of like
Well, see, the thing is, I don't know about what the regulations are in New York City as far as these cannabis dispensaries are concerned, but obviously they have regulations. They have to be a certain distance away from a school. They have to, whatever those regulations are. I don't know, like I know Nevada's, but if you like in Nevada, you have a landlord. If you want to have a consumption line, you got to ask permission to the neighborhood. They're, that like it's a process. And so I don't know what that is in New York. So I can't speak to that.
Frankly,
but
I don't think they have much of a process when it comes to
well, I mean, to our communities, it looks like gentrification. So, and if you come in there, and unfortunately, like the Black community members, church members, business leaders and stuff, they're a lot more conservative than people want to think. And you got to involve them in these conversations. I think that's what doomed Raekwon's bid in New Jersey. And, it might have something to do with this. I don't know the political structure of the neighborhood or anything like that, but unfortunately, it might end up hurting the community more than helping him.
Well, one thing we should remember about Raekwon in New Jersey is he was trying to move into an actual historical district where there are a lot of rules. This place doesn't seem to have those rules. So I think this is silly. And frankly, since only social equity people are getting the licenses currently in New York, I would think that's who this is going to. So
I would hope so. But if it was, then that should have been like part of their rebuttal. Should
have been the headline.
Not everyone's very good at
headline.
no one's as good at PR as I am. Nicole
And
Buffong.
not all social equity applicants look like the communities that they move into as well.
Maybe the law says that you can't be within 1,000 feet of the Apollo Theater.
Sandman gonna come take you out.
I'm banking on the other argument that one of you guys also made. I'm willing to bet that the Apollo Theater is too invested in the trap market, and so they do not want this business to be there because, but at the same time, you're not going to cut into their competition by having some legal weed shop there because your prices are going to be way better in the trap than they're ever going to be in the legal weed store.
My hypothesis is right along with you, Jason.
Listen, everybody for decades, if you've lived in New York, if you have visited New York in the last 20 years, everybody knows, it will tell you, just get out on 125th Street, on the 6, on the 2, you will find it. It will find you. You don't have to go far. So it has been a hub for that legacy market for so long. And I think that is not something that we can't think is a possibility, that there are plenty of people benefiting from the legacy market in Harlem. They keep that neighborhood, that block, a certain, it's almost like Robin Hood around there. Like nothing happens on that block because then you're messing up people's money. And so that is definitely something that would be a consideration, knowing how long and how ingrained it is in that neighborhood.
Yeah, so maybe it's the black market lobby that is preventing this dispensary from opening.
Are you talking about the metaphorical black market? Or are you talking about the real black market?
Everything is blackity black.
Right.
Blackity black.
Let me rephrase that: the illegal market.
Okay,
right.
The freedom market.
I saw her on mic on Clubhouse. Zaza, did you have something to say on this topic? Zaza, are you with us? Oh, maybe she didn't. She was just on mic. Gary, do you have something to say? I see you on mic. Zaza or Gary? I'm not hearing either of you.
Are we having a little blockage going on here?
I'm not sure. I mean,
I think a major issue that these guys are seeing is the stigma of that illicit market, the history that this neighborhood has with drug use in the past, and that's what they're trying to break through is the stigma. That's what this dispensary has to debunk for this development
communication
group,
and education.
To show them they want to be an equitable, responsible player in the community. They want to give back to the community because we know so many cannabis businesses do. I mean, it just makes good business sense to be a good neighbor and to build up what's around you.
Yes.
And we need to help explain that to folks who don't understand what cannabis is really like.
Gretchen Gailey, building bridges.
That's what I do.
Never underestimate the power of arrogance, right? They probably just thought, no big deal. We can just come in there, do what we want, and not really put another thought to it. So we could all be overthinking this too.
Well, I will say this to end this story. I will say this, that, you know, Harlem has been changing the last 5 years for sure. It is being gentrified. And so the neighborhood is not what it used to be.
Yep.
And so it is definitely not looking as blackety black as it always
Are you
has.
telling me the Apollo Theater board is now controlled by an angry white Karen?
I have no idea who is on the board, but I would not be surprised considering
There's a white woman with Oakley's has taken Sandman's job.
That there might be a Karen on the Apollo Theater board right now. I would not be surprised.
Helping self-righteous limousine liberals taking over, messing up New York.
That's what it is.
Let me in.
We're gonna Adam. Let's run that. Last
moving.
Yeah, let's run that last ad, Adam.
How's it going, guys? Saman Razani coming to you from Green Street here with Jason Beck, smoking on the best weed in the world. Did you know that we have an audio-only version of our podcast available on Apple, Google, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and Spotify? Tune in now and check it out.
Oh, yeah. Coming up next, we have the man from Las Vegas with the magic voice that makes everybody wonder, is that really his voice? That's right. It's Mr. Todd Denkin. And they also ask, is it really also his real name? And yes, it actually is. He's also the founder of DigiPath Labs and joining us from Las Vegas, Nevada, right next door to Nicole Buffong. That's right. It's Mr. Todd Denkin.
Thank you, Jason. And thank you for the late applause, audience. Appreciate that. So my story is an actual local story here from Marijuana Moment, as Nevada sports regulators send a proposal to stop penalizing fighters over marijuana, and they've sent that to the governor. Nevada sports regulators have voted to send a proposed regulatory amendment to the governor that would formally protect athletes from being penalized over using or possessing marijuana in compliance with state law. The Nevada State Athletic Commission met last week to consider the proposed change, which would codify a policy that was informally instituted in 2021. Members voted to put the cannabis reform through the administrative process to be adopted into its guidance, first sending it to Republican Governor Joe Lombardo. The marijuana provisions are just some of the regulatory amendments that the commission has taken up as part of the comprehensive review that all state agencies are required to complete under an executive order from the governor. Nevada State Athletic Commission, which regulates unarmed combat sports within the state, voted unanimously to stop penalizing professional fighters for testing positive for marijuana in 2021. But the policy hasn't been integrated into the code, and the new amendment would change that. An analyst with the commission said, while the proposed regulation change is included on the list provided to the governor, before any regulation becomes effective, it will have to go through the formal regulatory adoption process outlined in the Nevada Administration Code. This process will include an opportunity for public comment and input. But for now, the commission policy stands, but no formal regulation on the policy has been adopted. While the proposed regulations would still say that the commission adopts the World Anti-Doping Agency list of banned substances for athletes, which continues to include marijuana, the international governing body's scientific review last year, they are seeking to add language to carve out an exception for cannabis for fighters in the state. The proposed amendment says, the commission does not classify cannabis or cannabis-derived products as prohibited or banned substances under its program of drug testing and anti-doping that are included in one or more of the publications listed in subsection 1, provided such substances are legal for use or consumption under the laws of the state of Nevada. Regulators are also looking to add separate new sections to the code that says possession, use, or consumption of cannabis or cannabis-derived products shall not be deemed an anti-doping violation under this chapter, regardless of the laws of the jurisdiction where such possession, use, or consumption occurs, provided such possession, use, or consumption is legal under the laws of the state of Nevada. Well, that seems to mean that athletes who consume marijuana in any state, no matter their cannabis laws, would not face sanctions as long as the activity is lawful under Nevada's legalization policy. Professional athletics organizations at multiple levels have been reassessing and reforming cannabis policies in recent years amid the state-level legalization movement. For example, as reported right here on High at 9, the NBA is reportedly planning to remove cannabis from its banned substances list for players, as well as allow them to promote and invest in the industry. The Chicago Cubs recently became the first Major League Baseball team to officially partner with a CBD company, which follows the nation's league-wide partnership with a popular CBD brand last year. Major League Baseball has stood out among other professional sports leagues as more willing to respond to the changing marijuana policy landscape. For example, it clarified a memo in 2020 that players will not be punished for using cannabis while they aren't working, but they can't be personally sponsored by a marijuana company or hold investments in the industry. The UFC announced in 2021 they would no longer be punishing fighters over positive marijuana tests. And separately, student athletes that are part of the NCAA would no longer automatically lose their eligibility to play following a positive marijuana test under rules that were recommended by a key committee last year. The National Football League's drug testing policy already changed demonstrably in 2020 as part of a collective bargaining agreement. And meanwhile, back in Nevada, the Assembly recently approved a resolution urging Congress to federally legalize marijuana, sending it to the state Senate. Lawmakers have also taken up on a proposal to increase the state's cannabis possession limit and remove barriers to employment in the marijuana industry. Last month, the Senate's Health and Human Services Committee approved a revised bill that would create a new working group to study psychedelics and develop a plan to allow regulated access for therapeutic purposes. Looks like Nevada is being very progressive. I'm very proud to report. And it looks like most other sports are becoming proponents of cannabis legalization and use. Now, if the rest of the world would just follow suit, we'd be in a good place. I'm Todd Denkin with High at 9 News, reporting live from Las Vegas. What do you guys think about, relaxing the marijuana penalties for smoking weed?
Hey, Todd, thank you for this story. I would like to shout out the Chamber of Cannabis. Senate Bill 33 is the Senate bill that would allow employers to decide who they want to employ at their dispensary or cultivation location. That's what you just mentioned in the article there. Senate Bill 33 will also allow for doubling the daily purchase limit. And so that did pass through the Assembly 2 weeks ago, right after our Cannabis Chamber Rally Day in Nevada, and is headed to the Senate. And so hope we don't see any chances of any pushback in the Senate, since it is a Senate bill presented by Senator Dallas Harris. Last week when we were in DC for lobby days, Senator Jackie Rosen, who is our senator from Nevada, was on a panel discussing small businesses and the value that a business like the Chamber of Cannabis, a nonprofit like the Chamber of Cannabis, brings to this industry, brings to her state. And so I think that this just falls in line, allowing people to use cannabis. It's legal in the state, and it should have nothing to do with your employment status. I think that this is really move forward in the right direction for Nevada. And it's pretty cool to be living in a state that wants to put those things on the ballot and make it legal.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, the fact that there's a limit to what you can purchase in dispensaries now is just ridiculous, because you could literally buy an ounce of weed and then go to another dispensary and buy another ounce of weed and then go to another dispensary and buy another ounce of weed, right? Instead of getting it all in one place. So there really is no regulation of who's buying what, right? It's just
there's no way to track it at all.
Right. There's no way to track it.
And one of the opposition last 2 weeks ago when we were in Carson City was an actual police officer, an actual police sergeant who testified. His public comment said, why don't you just go to another dispensary and buy another ounce instead of increasing the daily double limit? But then you would be in violation of state law because you're not allowed that much in your possession at one time. That's so he was actually encouraging people to commit a crime because he's an opposition.
Sounds like somebody needs to police the police.
Yes, yes, exactly.
Maybe what he meant was go buy your ounce, then go home, then go out and buy your other ounce, and then go home. And Right.
No, that's not what he meant.
No, it's a silly law. But I think it's interesting how, sports is really accepting of marijuana. I think Ricky Williams started it all, several years ago when he literally walked out of the Dolphins and said, "I'd rather smoke weed because my body hurts."
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
What's funny about that? What's funny about that is that sports has always been on the cutting edge of like the health and science of the actual body, and they make money by having these stars in the cage or in the ring or on the court.
Right.
And with these strenuous schedules that they have and the taxing that they put on their body, I'm pretty sure they're seeing the benefits they have from it. TJ Dillashaw, retired UFC fighter, he's had a CBD company for a long time. They've been promoting CBD in between their promos for their pay-per-view events and for on ESPN and the commercials. And so I think really what you're seeing here is the education is starting to catch up for those guys, and they're realizing that it's better off for their athletes.
And Gervonta Tank Davis this past weekend.
Oh yeah, with his gold chain from Gumbo.
The $250,000 gold
Was
chain.
that really a praise? Do we really know that that's the real value, or is that just a made up value? Because $250,000 on the chain is a significant amount of money for a chain.
There's a lot of ice. There's a lot of ice on that thing. I don't know, man. I didn't have the diamond measurer or whatever they use in these TikTok videos that show these rappers got big teeth.
the old diamond measurer. Right.
I don't know what this thing is. I let go of all my jewelry, left it in my 30s. All right, yo.
Hold on.
We are at the top of the hour now. That was a good one, Todd.
Yeah, one second, Rico. 1 second. We did have a 6th story for everyone today, and so we do want to tell everyone to make sure that you head over to the website to check it out. It involves the city of Detroit, a marijuana business, and a probe that the cannabis business is supposedly cooperating with. So make sure that you go over to our website and check that out. Also, too, Joe has one quick thing that he wants to let everybody know about in regards to the Emerald Cup. Go ahead, Joe.
Okay, shameless plug here. Make sure you hit up the emeraldcup.com, click the link for Best Dispensary in Northern California, and make sure you vote for Mercy Wellness of Katati. We're looking for back-to-back championships to take home this year. So make sure you click the link and vote.
And make sure that you get your tickets for the Emerald Cup competition on the 13th.
Yeah, 13th Crane
in
Pavilion
Richmond, California.
in Richmond, California. It's going to be a blast.
Yes.
Vote or die. But thank you all for tuning in with us for yet another episode of High at 9 News. You can always catch us weekdays, 9 a.m. Pacific, high noon on the East Coast. Big shout out to our super fans showing love and support, affection. It's in to our live audience members, online supporters across all platforms, tuning in and giving us feedback on the daily headlines of chaos, also known as the developing cannabis industry. Our vetted correspondent team tuning in from all over the globe, bringing us much needed variety, perspective, and your respected opinions to the conversation. To our production team, Cloud Media Partners, House of Fuego, and the wonderful Jaja Simone holding things down over in Clubhouse. Yokayo Ranch, the Emerald Cup, OCB, and to all our sponsors helping us keep this train rolling. Nothing but love going out to the haters. Become a super fan and put all that hate on the big screen, baby, and the money in our pockets. And always, Cannabis Sativa L, the reason we show up and read these headlines every single day. It is Tuesday, May 2nd, 2023. The show's over. You've been blessed with today's top industry headlines. Hope was enough for you to put in your pipe and smoke at least until tomorrow. Y'all know who it is. Rico Lamitte, the dopest dad on the street, signing off. Remember, when life gives you no place else to turn, you can always turn the fuck up. Nicole Buffong, got the final word. What we got for today?
No, just peace and love, y'all. Make sure you smoke that good sun-grown cannabis.
We judge it indoor today. Oh yeah, the real fire.
Yeah.